Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Guild Wars 2 ESL Pro League for North America. I am Joe Storm Noah, and back with me this week is Christian Hurix Thomaser. We're in week 5, and we've got a lot of matches coming your way.
Yeah, like you said, we're in that second half where teams are really trying to kind of figure out where they're going to be at the end of the season. We got 3 teams really kind of in contention for that second place slot, trying to go up against Absurd. I mean, we have a really good game against the Absurd with Spooky there, so I'm excited for today. We got a lot of stuff ahead of us.
Yeah, let's head into our season schedule. Rather, we are on January 11th, week 5. We've got 2 more weeks after this. Following that, we will have the studio final for season 1 on February 20th. As always, what about those format rules that we have?
Yeah, so all these teams are going to be vying for a $200,000 prize pool over the course of these 7 weeks. All the matches are going to be best of 3 in a round-robin format for the entire season, so each team will, of course, play each other once. It'll be 16 teams in total, 8 per region. The top 2 teams per region, so 4 in total, will then move on to the season finals at the end here. This is all going to be 5-on-5 conquest. We have 4 maps in the competitive rotation. The 3 that we'll be seeing today will be Forest of Niflhell, Legacy of the Faux Fire, and Battle of Kylo.
And as you mentioned, a $200,000 prize pool, a lot of money. Teams still vying for that during this week's matches. Taking a look at that, we do have $10,000 for first place in the region, $9,000 for second place, all the way down to $2,500 for 8th place. So still a lot of money down at the 8th place spot. And then, of course, the season finals, 4 teams going for that first place prize, $50,000, all the way down to $12,500 for 3rd and 4th place. So still a lot of money on the line for those teams.
Yeah, you talk about money. We're also going to be doing that gold betting once again here. So make sure that before the match actually starts, it'll be 5 minutes before the match starts, you'll be able to then go ahead and place your bets for who you think is going to win that matchup, and then of course you'll be able to accumulate gold throughout those. If you win them or lose them, whoever has the most gold at the end of the day will then receive a gym code giveaway. So you definitely want to be doing that for sure.
Yeah, several of those giveaways. Going to be pretty exciting to say the least. If you are not able to tune in for all of today's coverage, be sure to head over to Facebook and Twitter. Follow ESL GW2 to get all of the action on today's matches. Speaking of which, let's take a look at our schedule for today. What do we got going on with that here?
Yeah, so the first one we're going to be able to see here is going to be Apex Prime versus Easy Peasy. That'll be our first schedule matchup, the one that you'll be seeing in just a couple of minutes here. That's going to be an interesting one, definitely. I think that Apex Prime has the upper hand in that one. Match 2 is going to be Never Lucky versus Zero Counterplay. Never Lucky looking to come back, try to show some disparity between themselves and the team that is currently now in 8th place without a victory. That is Zero Counterplay. So, I mean, I kind of expect Never Lucky to take that one, but it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup for sure.
Following that, we will have Team PZ up against Final Form, both teams sitting at 2-2 in our last match of the evening. The game of the week, number 1 Absurd up against number 2 Spooky. We were just talking about that, going to be a thrilling matchup nonetheless. Now looking at our leaderboard and our current standings, we have the Absurd sitting atop everything with that 4-0 record. Following that, Spooky with 3-1, and then Easy Peasy and Apex tied for 3rd there.
Yeah, and then tying them as well will be Final Form and PZ. After that, we will see Never Lucky and Zero Counterplay. Those 2 last teams that you just heard will be our game 2. So we definitely have a lot on the line today. I mean, teams are really kind of trying to show where they're going to be, at the end of the season. I mean, it really comes down to that. Like I said, there are still some teams kind of looking for that second place slot. We have a really good game between Spooky and Absurd today, so I'm really looking forward to it.
That should be a good one, but our first matchup will be Apex Prime up against Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy. Both of these teams sitting in the middle of the pack, 2-2. Apex Prime, one of those teams that has contention for that second place spot at the season's end, but they're going to have to win out, and they've got some tough matchups ahead.
Yeah, they still have yet to play the Absurd. I mean, much like Spooky, another team that is in that kind of, a little bit of that fight for second place along with PZ. So, I mean, these 2 teams really kind of got to figure it out before they actually do fight them. I mean, obviously Spooky doesn't have too much time left. I mean, 2 hours at this point. But yeah, so, I mean, Apex Prime needs to win this one if they want to be able to move on to the season finals. So, I mean, this is a big one for them.
It definitely is. Let's head into our first map on the Forest of Niflhell as we have both teams starting to join up here.
Welcome to the Forest of Niflhell. In this conquest map, players will vie for control of 3 score-generating capture points. Additionally, on each side of the map, there are 2 bosses that grant 25 points and a bonus to all stats to the team that lands the killing strike. The first team to 500 points wins.
Moving on to the Forest of Niflhell there. We did just have that first intro. We do have over on the red Apex Prime, over on the blue Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy. What can you tell me about these 2 teams?
All right, so the interesting thing about Apex Prime is that they've kind of been they've been really forcing themselves to kind of go against the grain of what, the meta has kind of evolved into being. And you'll see on your screen right now that they are only running one Mesmer in the setup. But, I mean, the rest of it is kind of, it is pretty meta, but they are trying something new out, which is very cool to see. Of course, Easy Peasy has kind of fallen into the same stride as a lot of these other teams of just kind of picking up what they know is going to be good. That has been established by all of the other teams within the Pro League. But the thing about Apex Prime is that, looking right down along the lines, you're seeing Morpheus not playing a Guardian. This is what he's been known to play. You might have seen him a couple of times on maybe like an NG or something, but definitely Mesmer is something new to him, has been able to pick it up. But going right down the line here to start it off, that's going to be Quilja here. He's going to be on Dagger Focus, Tempest with Celestial Amulet, Rune of the Soldier. Very typical build there. Earth, Water, and Tempest. He's going to be rolling with that 4 shouts, opting for the Lightning Flash instead for that mobility instead of that 5th shout. Next, we do have Trackful. He's going to be on the Revenant here, and he's going to be running Sword, Shield, Staff. He's going to be running Celirev, actually, with Rune of Lissa, and that's going to be Devastation, Corruption, and Herald. Next, we have H-Man, who is the new member of Apex Prime, taking the place of Ostrich Eggs here, and he's going to be running Sword, Shield, Staff with the Berserker Amulet, and he's going to be running with Rune of Lissa with Invocation, Devastation, and Herald. Next up, we do have Morph, that Mesmer we were just talking about. Probably going to be playing that bunker build here with Sword, Shield, and Staff. Definitely going with Soldier Amulet, Rune of Durability. He's going to be opting for Inspiration, Chaos, and Chronomancer, and that's just such a solid build there for bunking down on the point, getting support to his teammates. And next, we do have Tarsus. He's going to be on Scepter, Warhorn, and Staff with the Celestial Amulet, Rune of Grinth there, Spite, Soul Reaping, and Reaper for his build setup there. So,
yeah, nothing too crazy coming out on the side of Apex. A bit of a different approach, though, from previous weeks. It's, like you said, H-Man over Ostrich Eggs now. Taking a look over on the side of blue, that would be Easy Peasy. Michael Wang, I believe he is a substitute for these guys. He's going to be running with the Revenant. He's going to be taking up the Sword Shield with that Mace Axe, that build we are not, not unknown to seeing all the time. He's going to be running with Viper and Durability, taking up Corruption, Retribution, and Herald. Next up, Caden going to be the second Revenant. He will be taking with the Staff, Sword Shield, Rune of Durability, and Berserker Amulet. 2 Berserker Amulets at this game. That is something new. Invocation, Devastation, and Herald for himself. Edison back on the Engineer with the Hammer, Durability, Marauder, going to be taking Inventions, Alchemy, and Scrapper. Chudat will be one of 2 Mesmers. He'll be taking the Sword Shield with the Staff, Sentinel's Amulet for himself with the Rune of Durability, taking up Inspiration, Chaos, and Chronomancer with Time Warp. And finally, Zor, he will be the second Mesmer. Basically the same build, except he's going to be running Soldier's Amulet instead of the Sentinel we saw from Chudat. He'll also be taking Chaos, Inspiration, and Chronomancer. He is going to be, however, taking Gravity Well over that Time Warp.
yeah, it looks like we're just going to be waiting for them to ready up. But in the meantime, we did just get that balance update that we saw earlier today on the forums. If you guys haven't seen that already, definitely head over to the Guild Wars 2 forums right now and check out that balance update that you can kind of take a look at the direction they're going to be taking some of these profession balances into. You have definitely a lot of information in regards to Mesmers, of course, and then I know everybody in the chat loves those thieves and those warriors, and you can kind of see which direction they want to take those into. But looking at it from at least the perspective of this game, they are only running 1 Mesmer on Apex Prime. Maybe at the end of the season, or rather once the season is over, you might see Apex Prime be able to turn around and really kind of adapt very quickly.
Opening splits for game number 1 on the Forest of Niflhell. We do have some crossers coming out for Apex Prime. Chudat looking to make a push to the mine point. Going to have Tarsus right on top of him, but without any problems whatsoever, Apex going to go ahead and push a 1v2, a 2v1 in their favor, rather, over at the Henge node.
I do not like this at all. They know that they already have a Condi Rev on this team, so Tarsus right now is going to be on a Necro, and he's just going to fall so short here to Michael Wang now, and that's just too much pressure for him to even deal with, and of course Caden's going to be able to help that one out as well. And Caden's going to suffer a lot of damage, but they're going to get out okay, and now he's going to be able to turn back around. So they already have a 5-point lead now. Edison kind of taking a lot of pressure here actually at Henge, forcing to that Elixir S and trying to stay away from H-Man, who's going to follow this one up. I expect to see perhaps a kill on Edison now.
I'm very surprised after they got that kill on Tarsus. They didn't send another member to help out Edison. Now they get the full cap at the Henge. Regardless, they did plus mid big time. Quilja was forced off of that node. He is going to be back onto it before they get the full cap. A portal came out on the side of the blue team. Going to get a couple members out, just leaving Zor there to face Quilja. So Quilja going to be able to stay alive in this 1v1, and Apex Prime starting out with a pretty good, advantage around the map.
Yeah, Morph needs to be careful though on Henge. They already have this cap. They have a 2 cap actually, so it's already looking heavily in favor of Apex. If we can remember, even just you know, last week, week 4, talking about how once you have that point in this current meta, it's very hard to take back. But here we see Morph actually going down, actually does get stomped there by Caden. They managed to pick that one off, and now they're going to take H-Man as well. Granted, I mean, Apex still has that cap over there on the mine, so they have been accumulating points in the meantime, but now Easy Peasy with an opportunity to turn this one back around.
That was a pretty good play by Easy Peasy. Both of their mesmers, both of their defensive people are at the midpoint, holding off multiple members of Apex Prime, who probably should have sent a rotation. Actually, no, we have the portal coming out there from Zor, going to try and get a decap on the mine point, but Trackful is in the area, going to get some, oh, another portal actually coming out from their other mesmer, and we see a 2v1 now into Trackful, who has a respawn. It looks like H-Man trying to get here in time, going to be able to help him out a bit with no support, though. H-Man will be in the area. This is a 2v2 with both mesmers. I really fear for them in this situation, especially since so much damage has already went on to Trackful, and there is the decap coming out there for Easy Peasy.
Yeah, and I mean, we did see also a decap on the other side of the map there on Henge, so now it is going to be a little bit of a stalemate here. However, Track is going extremely low here, as is Edison, but he's going to be able to get back up to 50% as Track does indeed fall down. Zor's going to go ahead and secure that stomp, but they're going to actually secure the point as well, as we aren't going to see anyone from Red Team here get there in time. So now Easy Peasy with an opportunity to carry some momentum and maybe push it into mid here, as they have, and we are going to be seeing them take down Quilja.
Yeah, we saw H-Man rotate out of that mine fight, but Caden was all over him, picking him off in the middle of the map. Quilja taken out in that 2v1, got plus there, made it a 3v1 at the end, going to take a 2-cap for themselves. Now Trackstar looking to make a push towards the mine point, looking to try and take out Zor, not going to be able to do it alone because the 2 of the Revenants on the side of blue making their way here as well. Needs help on respawns. They got to get some rotations around this map fast before Easy Peasy starts run away with this lead.
Yeah, Tarsus is going to be kind of forced off. Apex Prime is just running all over the place. They don't really seem like they have a clear direction of where to be, when to be there, and they need to make sure that they kind of play off of actually Wang, because Wang, if he ever rotates into Tarsus, that's a dead Necro. I mean, that's a lot of pressure that they're not going to be able to answer, and even the Elementalist here, who is now getting pressured by both Caden and Wang, is going to take a little bit too much pressure here and going to be forcing himself to use a lot of defensive cooldowns just to get away here, as he does pour it up onto that ledge. Wang's actually going to be opting to go back and teleport to him. They need to be careful, though, because, I mean, right here we are going to be seeing Quilja drop on the point. It looks like they're going to be... Actually, it doesn't look like H-Man's even going to go for it. That's going to be yet another kill here for Easy Peasy, as they take this game actually by storm now.
Along with that, Edison rotating out of that mid node at the perfect time. Nice CC on the Morph. He is going to pick up a decap at that Henge. That was a really good play from Edison. I like that move out of that midpoint at the right time. They knew they were able to finish off the fight. Got that kill onto Quilja at the midpoint as well. We also see over at the mine point, maybe a little bit of a play for Apex Prime. Going to take down Zor. That is one of their most defensive members. We still have Chudat in the area, who's able to keep himself alive for a little bit longer with that double time warp, but both of the Revenants for Apex are here.
That was definitely, in my opinion, a misplay.
One of them. And they've got the Necro there as well.
I think that was a misplay on Wang's part. I mean, Wang needs to basically just follow that Necro around, especially when Tarsus is rotating. That is just a free opportunity for Wang to then follow that up and get a free kill. H-Man actually going down over on the Henge. But, I mean, Tarsus literally just walked right out of the mid-fight and helped get that decap. They shouldn't have lost that point. They should have gotten a kill. And, I mean, it's definitely kind of posing a problem now.
That was a huge play from Trackful. We saw him use unrelenting assault while Chudat portaled to the mid node, allowing him to actually finish him off, get the kill, get the decap, and get the mine point. That was really lucky for Trackful to do that during the portal. Actually, I believe the portal came up mid-unrelenting assault. Chudat didn't even realize that was happening. Very unfortunate on his end. Now we see a huge fight starting to form over at the Henge node.
That's actually, at least in my opinion, actually at the fault of Chudat. I think he needs to be able to kind of realize those things and not go through the portal, because he's just setting himself up for failure. It actually almost had happened again there, as Zor drops down to 10% and gets followed up, and Trackful now going to pick up yet another kill in the same fashion. And this is just mistakes by the Mesmers. I don't really think that this is just stellar play by Track. I mean, Trackful's doing what he needs to be doing here, but this is mistake after mistake by these Mesmers going through these portals when Unrelenting Assault is actually going off, and that's gonna be the reason why Apex now is sitting at a 2-point cap and now they're going to be able to go into this mid fight, take on Caden a little bit here, and then perhaps even get a lot of pressure just across the map and maybe take even a 3-point.
Saw very good slick shoes there from Edison, able to get the decap and hold H-Man off of that node with all of his CC. Quilja's in the area, Tarsus is now in the area, making this a 3v2 in favor of Apex Prime, as we did just see Chudat rotate to that mid node, probably gonna throw down the portal, or just wasn't sure about it. Yeah, he throws down his portal, gonna bring his other member back through and help him out. That was Edison, went through the portal. Actually, his mic go down, went back behind, just keeping himself alive, doing a good job, really good plays coming out with the portals. This is kind of something we're not used to seeing from Easy Peasy.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely playing a lot better than we are used to seeing them. They are coming together as a team. They have a lot better synergy as a team, and they're really kind of playing this meta a little bit better than we have seen them do in the past. This little hiatus over the winter break definitely helped them out. They've come back a lot stronger as a team, and now putting up a good score against a top team like Apex Prime. That's definitely, you have to commend them for that.
Now we see Apex Prime trying to hold off the members of Easy Peasy from getting to that mine point. Pretty good defensive play by Quilja and company to try and hold them off, make sure they can finish them off and have no chance whatsoever for Easy Peasy to rotate to mine before they get the decap. But we did see the plus over here at the Henge, where Morph was in a 1v3, it looks like, and both of these Revenants now going to rotate quickly to this mid node, which is still in favor of blue. So now, oh no, there's the decap, as it looks like Zor was off the point or he was distorted. Regardless, that is terrible news for Easy Peasy, who aren't going to be able to build a lead with it now.
Yeah, it looks like this big fight here on the keep is going to be everything. We are seeing a little bit of an aggression here over towards the mine. It looks like H-Man is going to be able to push that off. So, I mean, we're going to be seeing actually a huge fight over here, where Tarsus right now is getting just chased around by both Caden and Wang, and this is the right target for them to be on, and it's definitely going to be something that Apex needs to kind of account for, where if they rotate into a fight where both of the Revenants are, if Tarsus is in there, they're going to have to put him, like, basically all of their support needs to go down for him all the time, or else he's going to get stomped out like he just did, and now they're going to be sitting in a position where they don't want to be in, fighting outnumbered and outgunned here. Trackful getting kind of low as well.
That time warp coming out there from Easy Peasy really going to hurt them in the end. Quilja trying to play with his members, get on and off the point when he has to. So a little bit of a portal. Looks like Zor wants to make a push for the mine against Trackful, but not going to be able to find himself getting a decap anytime soon. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, H-Man in a 1v1 against Edison, who's doing a good job of holding him off, but Tarsus coming off of respawn, going to really push for that 2v1 and try to get themselves a 2-cap once again in this game.
Trackful needs to be careful though. Looking over at mine, he's sitting now at 50% HP, has a ton of pressure just getting dumped all over him here. He does get the Herald heal off. He's going to be able to stay alive for a little bit here, but now he's going to be running out of cooldowns. Everyone is going to be able to pump all their DPS into him. They're going to lose that cap now, and they're actually going to probably get capped against, as we are going to be seeing actually Quilja make a move to try to save his teammate, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. He's definitely going to be going down here. They're going to pull off yet another kill, and we are going to be seeing them lose that cap, and now it's a 1-to-1 cap for both teams. Still a stalemated fight between the Mesmers here over on Keep. Zora is actually down to about 60% HP. Definitely an opportunity for them here to actually take him out.
Quilja in a very bad spot as well. He will be taken out. That's going to be the last of his support for a while, and this mid node is going to be a very rough fight for Apex Prime. Able to take down Zor, but regardless, a lot of reinforcements coming out there for Easy Peasy. Zor going to be back up into the fight now. Throws down the time warp for his team, or rather that was Chudat that just did that, and now H-Man is down. I think we're going to see a 2-cap come out for Easy Peasy. 5 minutes remaining in this game.
Yeah, they're just getting so many kills here, kill after kill after kill. The lethality of these two Revenants together, Wang and Caden, has just been proving just to be too much for Apex, at least, I mean, maybe as a team, but certainly as a composition. I mean, Wang just rotating into Tarsus every single time, taking him down left and right. They need to be careful of those situations, because it's going to cause them to be, you know, just outmanned everywhere if they keep losing those situations.
Apex Prime looking to make a push towards the mine node. Zor's in the area along with Chudat. You don't want to try and take those two on. You're never going to get the no for yourselves. Looks like Edison might pick up a decap over at the, oh, really good slick shoes, picks up the decap at the Henge. That's going to be detrimental to the point income for Apex Prime regardless. Looks like Tarsus is actually losing this 1v1 has, would have probably had to leave the node regardless. H-Man starting to make a push towards this node, probably going to be able to help take out Edison and get the node back for themselves along with Quilja. But what do you do elsewhere at this point? They're being 2-capped with the decap on their end by Easy Peasy.
Apex finally going to get Hinge back. No one's going to be rotating over here as Tarsus is going to finish that one off. He needs to get that stomp now, though. Okay, so he does get it. They are going to get that cap back, but still, you know, Easy Peasy has been just kind of increasing their lead, you know, second by second by second with this 2 cap. That decap, like you were just saying, did help them out a lot. They are going to be pushing 2 of their guys, H-Man and Tarsus, over towards this Chieftain to get that kill there. So they are going to be closing the gap a little bit here, but they still need to worry about winning that mine fight, because over here, I mean, they're just not really getting any headway at all, really. I mean, Quilger's looking pretty good, but Track is just getting ran down left and right here by both of these Revenants, who are just rotating together and staying and basically just ganging up on everyone. 2v1, every single part of the map has been 2v1 by these 2 Revenants here.
And I think one of the big reasons that Apex might be struggling here is they continuously plus this Edison fight. And although it looked like we saw a good job from H-Man there taking him on, I'm not so sure they're confident in their 1v1s against the Engineer for that matter, because we saw earlier Tarsus was way off node, looked like he had to retreat from the situation and got back on there, but gave up the cap in the process and lost a lot of potential points for his team. Now Track will off a respawn, looking to engage in a 1v3. Actually, no, we see both of those Revenants for the blue team coming back to the midpoint where Zora's in the downstate. This could be big for Apex Prime if they're able to pick up a kill, or at least get the decap for that matter, but Zorg is getting res up. It looks like they don't want to leave this node. They're not coordinating too well. Who's on the node? Who's going in for the res? He's actually going to be finished off. Michael Wayne now going to be, Wayne, yes, excuse me, going to be going into the downstate as well. This could be Apex Prime's chance to get back into the game before it's too late.
Yeah, if they were able to take down Zor like they did, that would have been a huge moment for them to then actually just throw down a bunch of cleave, because their Mesmer was going to be down. Chudat is stuck. They know Chudat's stuck over on the mine point, so if at any point they do go for that res, it would have been those Revenants. That Radiant Revival doesn't work the same way it used to, so it's not going to just instantly get him back up. So you want to be able to get in a situation where you can cleave there, and that's going to open up for them to get that cap over on Keith.
1 minute and 50, just under 2 minutes rather, remaining in this game. We do see a little bit of a push from the blue team over towards that Henge node, though they know they cannot win with just that 1 cap. Oh, almost got the decap, or got closer to actually getting it there. We've seen a lot of great decaps on the side of Easy Peasy. I fear for Apex that Easy Peasy, they're not done with this game yet. I'm sure we're going to see a big push from them regardless, but they are 60 points away from victory. Chieftain will be back up soon. We could definitely see this come down to a boss kill.
Oh, H-Man getting kind of low here. He does have both of these Revenants all over him. Not too many defensive cooldowns left. Has a couple of dodge rolls, and that's going to be it, actually. And that, I want to correct myself, that is actually Edison as well as Wang. The other Revenant is actually over on the midpoint.
They went away from him. Now we actually see a little bit of, oh man, Tarsus wants to go for a spawn here. He wants to match up against Chudat here.
Oh man,
I don't like this play. Necessary.
I don't like this play at all. I mean, at the moment, if they just hold on to everything and don't lose fights like they are losing right now, I mean, they would win this. I mean, even right now, they're still going to win this. But if Tarsus loses spawning here to Chudat, I mean, granted, he shouldn't, but if he does lose it for some reason, they will lose the match because of this play.
But they're also losing Henge right now. They're in a 2v3. He needs to get this kill. Whoever gets this kill, I don't know who's going. Apex Prime. Tarsus coming up with the kill. Chudat not able to get that last minute hit, and Apex Prime coming up with a huge victory after Easy Peasy. Nonetheless, really surprised me with their play today.
Yeah, I didn't like that play actually by Tarsus at the end. I mean, granted, in that matchup, he had certainly a lot more kill potential on Svanir for that matchup, but I still don't think it was entirely necessary. I would have liked to have seen him pulling kind of over towards the mid fight, maybe taking away from Svanir, or maybe just hovering it, making sure that nobody could steal it, because I mean, the only person in the area was Chudat. It's not like he was going to kill it anytime soon. I mean, certainly dropping it down to 10% HP, especially with conditions like that, you're going to open up the opportunity for then Chudat to steal it somehow, maybe with like a quick shot or something.
And one thing about that situation is, either team, you know, even if Apex, you know, Easy Peasy rather, would have rotated someone, if they got the kill, that would have meant their win as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a game-changing situation there. Now, Tarsus probably had there was no way he could have known, unless it was like really good coordination from his team, and I doubt that, given the fact that Henge wasn't going their way, that a Revenant could have rotated there in no time because of how long it was taking them to get on Svanir to actually get the kill. That was at least a minute fight on Svanir.
Yeah,
a Revenant
like that.
Easily could have got there in time.
Here's the thing, though. Those Revenants were playing so well that I would have been even more afraid of them because of how well they were playing. They would be
100%.
confident. They would be communicating well. I mean, it was obvious that they were communicating well. The Revenants for Easy Peasy were probably, I mean, those two guys were probably working better than anybody on the field at in that last game, at least in my opinion. I mean, those guys were all over the place gathering kills. I think they ended both with over 200 points, probably most of them being kills.
Yeah.
So I mean,
great job from them.
Yeah, they did it absolutely fantastic. So that's something that as a player like Tarsus in that role where he was playing a necromancer, especially, that would be something I would be terribly afraid for. I would be mortified in that situation because I would never want to have a Revenant rotate over, not only take the boss, but also kill me as well instantly, because I mean, that's just what the Revenant is good at. It will instantly take Tarsus down. So I don't know about that play. It worked out for him.
It did.
You know, congratulations. It worked out for him, but I mean, I don't like it, man.
I didn't really like it either, but you have to also commemorate the portal plays from Easy Peasy. I know Apex won, really good job, but I'm just talking about Easy Peasy, who's kind of struggled lately, but they just a new team, if you ask me, putting up a lot of points on Apex Prime, probably going to give them a run for their money on Legacy of the Faux as well, if we see great portal plays like we did last game.
Still, even in regards to portal plays, making a couple mistakes, going through those portals when they know they have that unrelenting assault on them, and then losing both of their mesmers. That was the opportunity for Apex to then turn around. If we can look back and remember, I mean, that was the moment where they lost both of their mesmers, and then they just lost the caps. They had a 2-cap. That's what establishes that's what established Apex's 2-cap. That's what it was. So I mean, those kind of mistakes, while they did play better, they still were making a couple of mistakes that they shouldn't make, and if they didn't make those, they would have taken that victory for sure.
All right, well, let's head on to our second map on the Legacy of the Faux, as we have both of our teams starting to join up here. Still Apex over on the red, coming out with that clutch victory at the end on that spawner kill from Tarsus against Chudat, and over on the blue, Easy Peasy wanting some revenge from that first game. No comp changes. I didn't really expect any because it was such a close game, and both teams know what they can improve upon probably going into the second one.
Yeah, I'm still kind of uncomfortable watching Apex. I mean, they kind of took that by the skin of their teeth at that point. I mean, this is a matchup that they really need to, I mean, if they want to be a team that is considered a juggernaut, a top 2, a top 3 team, they need to be sure to, you know, really kind of dominate these kinds of matchups. They really need to show their skill prowess, like the discrepancy of skill, rather, between themselves and a team like Easy Peasy, who's, you know, I mean, granted, tied for third, but with 3 other teams, you know. They need to make sure that they kind of establish themselves as a top team if they want to make that second place slot, and at the moment it doesn't seem like they're doing that.
Now moving on to the Legacy of the Faux, I'm interested to see what kind of strategies, what kind of shakeups we're going to have from both of these teams. Now, felt like rotation wise, most of the game it felt in Easy Peasy's favor, at least towards the end, but a lot of fights really felt to be going in favor of Apex Prime, but rotations can definitely help you win the game, actually be the deciding factor in the game, especially when you have a Lord that's worth 150 points. For both of these teams, I would highly recommend from them, if they're able to get to 350 points so it doesn't come down to something like in the last game, maybe go for a Lord push because they have that great portal play, a lot of great synergy on the side of Easy Peasy. I would not be surprised if we saw something like that from them.
I actually would go on the other side of things. I would say that Apex wants to play this 2-point. They want to make sure that they're not giving opportunities to these 2 Revenants to then skirmish around, because that's what that was their problem last time, whereas these Revenants were just out-rotating them all over the place, and Revenant is intrinsically good at doing that. So, I mean, it's not anything really kind of a problem with them as a team. It's mostly just a rotational kind of, I guess I would say it's more of a comp issue, especially with Tarsus there on Necromancer, which kind of has a little bit more of a struggle, obviously, with getting between points. I would say that they need a 2-point. I would say they need to stick to kind of these bunking down team fights and kind of play off of each other in that regard. They have that Elementalist to then keep everybody up in those team fights, and they can kind of stray away from having these Revenants just all over the place, taking them down 2v1 like they had in the beginning of the last match. They really kind of thrived when Apex was able to get that 2-cap and just play those 2 points for most of the latter half, actually.
Now we have the opening splits for Apex Prime and Easy Peasy on the Legacy of the Faux here. Looks like Trackstar moving towards that Corey, Edison heading over towards the Waterfall. As anticipated, 3-point split from both these teams. Can't afford to give up that early cap. Chudat going to be looking for that lone 1v1 against Trackstar, but we've got a big fight actually starting at the midpoint here.
Yeah, and looks like Quilja actually going to be trying to stay alive. A huge burst there coming out from Caden, forcing Quilja off, and they're going to get a couple of points towards the tick, or a couple ticks towards the cap, rather, as Quilja actually is still getting really low. Wang putting a lot of condition pressure down on top of him. Looks like Warp's going to have to rotate over and try to support him, but I don't know. I still kind of see that Quilja might actually still go down. Morph might be able to get him back up along with the rest of his team. It looks like that is going to be the case. They do manage to res him back up, but Morph in the process is going to take a lot of pressure there. Looks like he's going to be going down to about 10% HP. We'll have to see if his teammate is going to be able to get him back up, as he is going to be getting a little bit of health. He's going to be able to drop the well as well, so he's going to be good for now.
Quilja doing a good job at the beginning of the game, helping his team get that first cap at the waterfall. Edison looked for a decap, but good awareness by Tarsus can allow for him to hold on to that for his team on the other side of the map over at the quarry. Looks like we have a 2v1. Chudat is going to need some help soon, or his team has to win the mid node, but mid's so big that Apex can stall that as long as they want. So Chudat really needs help here. He will be taken down, and off the point possibly. Doesn't get his heal off. He's going to die. Yes, he is off the point here. They can bleed him out as long as they want. Apex Prime, incredible start for them, getting a 2-cap right off the bat.
Yeah, this is a huge misplay here from Easy Peasy with the way that they started things out. Losing that cap on Waterfall was huge, and now, of course, having Chudat then be taken out, I mean, that's really, really bad for them. They're going to have a really, really hard time coming back from that, and Apex, at least in my opinion now, is going to be the team that's going to be able to hold at least a 2-cap. I mean, certainly going to be able to hold a 1-cap for the next couple of minutes here and establish a lot of momentum, and probably even just, I expect them to kind of just pull back to Quarry, maybe establish some presence here before moving back over to that mid fight, hopefully taking out Wang in the process.
Quilja just still a little low, going to be in a 2v2. Trackful is here, but not going to be able to help Quilja out too much. Once he's in the downstate, going in for the res, he might get back up still in that vapor form. Morph is now in the area, should be able to get him back up without a problem whatsoever. We did see Blue get the cap at the graveyard. Now this is Apex Prime to split, leave mid, play those side nodes, and do exactly what they're doing right now. They're going to get the kill on the Mako Wang as well.
This is that push I was talking about, man. This is the one where they take Wang out, push into mid with the momentum now, and if they can take Wang out entirely, which it looks like they're going to be able to do, as we are actually going to be seeing Zor go for the res, and the Tides of Time might actually get it, and he, Mark canceled
that was
his
a very poor play from Apex. They definitely could have had him.
That was the whole plan. I mean, that was it. They needed to make sure they took Wang out, forced a bunch of pressure down on top of Zor, but they just ate the Tides of Time. The entire cast, both stuns, they took both of them, and then Morph actually just moving off and not getting that full cast of the stomp. That was a huge misplay by them. They needed that to then go into midpoint and then basically trade it off for that 2-cap.
They have to be upset about that play, but they can't be too down with having the 2-cap here. About to get the kill onto Edison, actually. Really good play from H-Man and Tarsus, if I'm not mistaken, that is. They're going to pick up the kill onto them. That's only going to leave Chudat in the area, who probably going to want to leave this node. Throws down a portal. Looks like he's going to go back around to that midpoint where Quilja, looking for a decap for himself, already used his lightning flash, but I'm not so sure. Is he able to get this decap? No, I don't believe it. Zor should be able to get onto that node in time. No Earth of 2 minutes to try for a immobilize there, as he is now just going to move towards that quarry node. What do we got going on over there?
Yeah, Morph's going to get his teammate back up and into the fray. Quilja's going to come over here as well to get them back up to 100% HP. They're going to look down towards Wang. If they can follow him out and maybe take a kill on him, looks like Trackful's going to be trying to finish the job there that they started, I mean, a couple of minutes ago, actually. And we are going to be seeing him rotating back into mid now, as they do try to kind of push the fight away from their points, maybe try to spread them out a little bit later on. We are going to be seeing Quilja go back over to home, as they do see that Edison is going to make that rotation over. Wang's going to follow Quilja up, though. They're going to be looking to take the team fight actually over towards their home node, which I actually do like, kind of pushes it more into their side of the field, and they might be able to make a play off of this, as Tarsus does get really low. And remember, he's the necromancer of this team, so Michael Wang being in this fight now is something of a worry for Apex Prime, because they need to make sure that the condition pressure doesn't get dropped too hard on Tarsus, because he's not going to be able to deal with that as well. Caden, though, is going to be going down here. It looks like the pressure might be enough for Apex to take him out completely, but it's not going to be the case.
Yeah, that time warp actually coming out there from Easy Peasy, going to help now Tarsus in the downstate. Quilja going in for the res. Oh, the stop, it's going to connect for Easy Peasy. Regardless, there are still a few members remaining here for Apex who have built themselves nearly a 200-point lead in a few seconds here. That is immense. And still 3 members remaining for Apex Prime at the waterfall. Quilja going to be taken into the downstate, though, without a problem. This could be brutal.
No, I don't like this rotation.
Apex.
Look at the map here. We actually saw a rotation coming over towards the waterfall to save that point, but in the process, we actually just saw, since they were already losing that fight, I mean, Easy Peasy just felt comfortable enough that they could just rotate Zor straight off, and he's actually gotten the decap, and he's going to get the full cap on Quarry in the meantime, and he can just come right back over to mid. I'm not sure. I think he left the portal.
He did. He threw down the portal. Expected possibly a push to come out there from Apex. We do see a little bit of a retreat, though. It looked like a member of Easy Peasy. Two of them going to back off. Looks like they want to leave the waterfall, cut their losses, hold on to the 2-cap here, and try to get back into this game very carefully and very slowly with this 2-cap, which they ultimately, in the end, can do.
Yeah, I mean, Zora's going to try to basically just, kind of hold this one out for as long as he possibly can. He's going to be able to do just that. I mean, as a bunker mesmer, this is perfect for him. H-Man going to be adding to this, though, so I expect to see someone coming over. It's Edison. I'm not sure if Edison is the right person. I would have probably liked to have seen someone more like Wang or Kaden. Of course, Wang did just go down, though. Zora's going to be going down as well. This is definitely a huge fault in their rotations. Not having the Revenant come over sooner to deal with Tarsus, force this fight off, and then move the fight over towards mid, so they kind of keep things more towards their side of the field just in case they need respawns. But now with Zora coming back up, he might be able to stay alive a little bit longer, especially with Kaden in here as well. Wang's going to be able to make the move over towards midpoint, where they're going to be able to 2v1 onto Trackful. Probably have enough pressure to do that.
Apex Prime is looking to play 3 points right now, which really hasn't been their strong suit. And now still moving into the mid node, I think they need to try and focus on the 2 nodes rather than 3, because it's not working out for them right now. They still have a very large lead. They still are going to be good. They could potentially go for a Lord kill. Remember, they have that waterfall. That's the far node. They could get this gate down. They could throw a portal on it, get their team back there in a team fight, get to the Lord as soon as they want. At any point in the game now, we could see a Lord push come out from Apex if they don't feel good about getting the other nodes. And it looks like Trackful already going for that side gate.
Yeah, I mean, most of the points that they've gathered from this game have been from a 2-point. Like I was talking about before the match even started, if they played that way, they would probably
going for it right away.
Yep.
There's no one back here for easy peasy. They're trying to get the decap.
They have both revs going for it too. That's going to be it.
Got both mesmers almost in the gate. One of them is, the other one coming now, but this Lord is done. I think that's it. Apex Prime, I think they've got this in the bag, and they are going to come up with a 2-0 victory over Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy after an incredible start on the Legacy of the Faux Fire. Kind of faltered, but nonetheless came through with that Lord push.
Yeah, I mean, it really came down to exactly what I was talking about, that 2-point play. As long as you just play that 2-point against this, I mean, with the fact that they have that Elementalist there as well, as opposed to that, that second Mesmer, and of course their Revenants are definitely really good in those team fights as well, because it's just straight pressured. I mean, you don't have to worry about Condi removal and stuff like that. I mean, of course, the Elementalist is going to be able to assist in removing some of those conditions with that Rune of the Soldier and having those auras to heal a lot as well. I mean, I think they had the favor in those team fights, and they took it, and they kind of won off of that alone.
Yeah, that opening split coming out there from Apex Prime, doing them a big favor, a huge lead, letting them get that Lord play. If they hadn't have amassed such a lead at the beginning of that game, I fear that that would have been Easy Peasy's game by far, and moving on to a game number 3. But, nonetheless, congrats to Apex. Going to be moving up to a 3-2 record, while we do see Easy Peasy moving down to a 2-3. Now, our next matchup, 2 teams on the bottom half of the standings, but Never Lucky up against Zero Counterplay. What do you think we can expect from them?
I can probably expect a victory for Never Lucky. I mean, just going by consistency, if I was talking from an analytical standpoint, I would say that Zero Counterplay being at 0 points might be something that's going to remain consistent with the rest of the season. I mean, I'm not saying it to be mean.
I mean, it's true. They just haven't been performing as well as maybe they had hoped, or anyone hoped for that matter. But moving into the game, Never Lucky is still in that 7th place spot right now. They're vulnerable as well. They have nothing to lose. They might bring some things out of the bag. I'm expecting some crazy comp or something from Zero Counterplay to just try it and have some fun and see what they can do against Never Lucky.
Yeah, here's the thing about Never Lucky, though. At least recently, they're playing for team fights now, man. That's all they're about. They go in all the way deep on team fights. So, I mean, I'm expecting kind of that sort of style from Never Lucky, and I don't think Zero Counterplay is going to be able to fight against it. I think Never Lucky's not only going to beat them, I think Never Lucky's going to really take it to them.
We'll have to see as our next matchup will be coming up in a few minutes, guys. We're going to head to a short break, and when we're back, we'll have Never Lucky up against Zero Counterplay. Stay with us. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Guild Wars 2 ESL Pro League for North America. We have our second matchup of the day ready. It'll be Never Lucky up against Zero Counterplay. What can we expect from these guys?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit before, but just as a refresher, I mean, Never Lucky definitely going to be playing a little bit more towards the team fights. I mean, they're definitely going to be going deep on those. Zero Counterplay hasn't really established anything. I mean, from an analytical standpoint, it's hard to kind of pin down what you kind of want to expect to see them do because they have been largely inconsistent so far. So I would like to see from them this week, trying to nail down some consistency, try to build some synergy. I'm not sure if they're going to be winning, but if at least they can make some progress, I think it'll be a victory for them as a team.
Well, we know that they're good players individually. We know all 5 of them. They're really solid players, but as a team, they really have struggled over the past 4 weeks. And moving into a matchup with Never Lucky, probably one of the easier opponents I think that they're up against because they're also, in that 7th place spot, but definitely has shown some promise over the last few weeks. Even so, this is a chance for Zero Counterplay to pull out a victory and try and make something of this season for themselves.
Yeah, and you talked about Never Lucky. I mean, they're kind of developing some young talent here. I mean, both in terms of Faux as well as Steel Illusions there. So, I mean, they're developing some players that, I mean, up until now, haven't really seen any competitive play, let alone top-tier competitive play that we're seeing them being kind of thrust into now. Fayaf has really kind of gotten a lot better. I mean,
he's rank 80 now.
Yeah, he's finally rank 80.
Yeah, I think he got legendary before he actually got rank 80. He got legendary before he got rank 80, which is something most players can't say they've done.
But, I mean, nonetheless, he's gotten there. He's done the work. I mean, he was actually streaming the other day. He knows kind of what he's doing. I mean, he's made a lot of progress over the course of the last couple of weeks since he's been in Never Lucky. So it's cool to see these two players really make some progress and get a lot better, and Never Lucky is going to be all the better for it. But so far, they have to really kind of make sure that they prove that not only are they a growing team, but a team that is capable of still getting W's at the end of the day. That's what it's all about.
Well, let's head on to our first map over on the Forest of Niflhell as we have both teams starting to join up here over on the red. We do have Zero Counterplay over on the blue. That would be Never Lucky. Now, Zero Counterplay, I said I expected a bit of a different comp for them. And right away, Moobs is on the Revenant, something we're not really used to him seeing, but nothing crazy. Maybe some different builds coming out. I'm curious to see what Kyuhu is going to be running. We'll take a look at his build in a minute, as Aerodynamic still on that Elementalist as well. But I was informed earlier that Kyuhu might be running a bit of a different build, but it doesn't look like that will be the case. They are joined up, though, so why don't you take us through their builds?
All right, looking first here at Kill 'em with Pizza here. And he's going to be on Staff, Sword, Shield with Marauder Amulet. Runa Strength, actually a very aggressive setup for this Revenant here. That's going to be Hypno. And he's going to be on Invocation, Devastation, and Herald. Next up, we have Moobs, the second of 3 Revenants. And I don't think this is the first time, or sorry, I don't think this is the last time we're going to be seeing this actual, or a comp kind of follow this this style. I mean, he's going to be on Sword Shield with Staff, and we're going to be seeing Berserker Amulet and Rune of Durability. So yet again, a lot of damage coming out from him. Devastation, Invocation, and Herald there as well. Next, we do have Kyuhu not opting for that weird condition Great Sword build that we heard a little bit about. He's going to be opting for something a little bit more kind of standard, I guess, which is going to be Sword, Shield, Staff, actually with a Celestial Amulet here, Rune of Durability. So he's going to be having a little bit more outgoing pressure than, say, some of the ones with Sentinel's Amulet, of course. But Inspiration, Chaos, and Chronomancer are still going to be the same trait line as he is going to be opting for that bunker setup there. Next, we do have Arrow. He's going to be on Dagger Focus here. Celestial Amulet, Rune of the Soldier, a very typical setup for him there. Same thing that we saw from the Elementalist from the last game. He's going to be going with Earth, Water, and Tempest as well. And finally here, Aerox, the third of 3 Revenants, going for that Condi setup, going with Mace, Axe, Sword, Shield, Rune of Durability, going with Corruption, Retribution, and Herald. So this is actually a setup that I expect to see sort of closely replicated sometime later in the day. We'll have to see what happens, but it's something that people should definitely spectate, get their thoughts on, because we might see it yet again before the day is over.
Interesting composition choice from Zero Counterplay. Now looking at Never Lucky, first up we have Ulrun on the Mesmer, running with the Staff, Sword, Shield, Durability with Sentinel's Amulet. Will be taking that Chaos, Inspiration, and Chronomancer. Going to be taking up 3 wells for himself. Steel Illusion is going to be the second Mesmer for this team, running basically the exact same build with that Sentinels and Durability, with the Inspiration, Chaos, and Chronomancer, still running 3 wells. So these are basically the same build for these 2 Mesmers. Next up, Fayov, that player we were talking about, definitely getting a lot better. He is on the Revenant, running with that Sword, Shield, Mace, Axe, Durability. Viper will be taking Corruption, Retribution, and Herald. Stalagta on the elemental list for this team with that dagger focus. Selly running with the Rune of the Soldier, Water, Earth, and Tempest. And finally, Bear will be the second Revenant. He's going to be taking up the Power Revenant here with the staff, Sword, Shield, Durability, with Berserker Amulet running Devastation, Invocation, and Herald. And now I think today we're seeing a lot more Power Revenants than we might have a couple of weeks ago when it was a lot of Condi Revenants for that matter.
Yeah, it definitely was. But of course, a couple of those changes that happened towards the end there, right after week 4, actually, you kind of saw them falling off a little bit. They're still extremely strong, but stacking them isn't as effective now. Power Rev still has a lot of efficacy in these in these compositions. They do provide a lot of damage, and of course they don't have to worry about things like Diamond Skin. Of course, I mean, granted, Diamond Skin wasn't that big of an issue for Condi Revs because of that Viper's Amulet. They still could put it out enough pressure to then stack those conditions up, but they also don't have to worry about Tempest, you know, taking those conditions away, and you know, all the other ways to Condi clear as well. So I mean, definitely more consistent DPS, a lot of spike as well.
And something you had mentioned a couple times now is that you think Never Lucky is going to base a lot of their play around team fights. How do you think that zero counterplay is going to stack up to that? And how do you think they're going to get out ahead in this game and potentially take a victory?
I don't know if it's for them at this point possible. They need to make sure that they, you know, really kind of focus on rotations. They have that triple Revenant. They need to kind of rotate off of Kyuhu and make sure that he's kind of forcing a lot of these team fights. If Arrow's stuck out alone, he's going to get really punished, at least in my opinion. So I expect to see Olrun and his team here going for, I mean, obviously both teams going to be going for a 3-point push at the start, but I expect Olrun to want to pull his team back into a 2-point play, staying away from that Revenant stack and kind of focusing on playing a little bit more defensively and then grabbing a 2-point kind of early.
I'm curious to see how other teams' portal plays are going to match up now that they've had a long break, a lot of time to practice, because we saw in the last game, Easy Peasy, their game stepped up a notch, a whole new level for Easy Peasy. I'm wondering if we're going to have the same come from Never Lucky or even zero counterplay for that matter.
Yeah, if Never Lucky starts feeling like they're going to be really confident, I mean, this start already, you can see the boons that both of these guys are stacking up. I mean, if Never Lucky feels confident, I think they're going to push that 3-point, but I think for them to be most effective, they really kind of got to cater towards, you know, staying away from that triple Revenant and some of these skirmishes.
Opening splits for both teams. Select having a good, actually able to hold off a couple of these Revenants who are making a look a push towards that henge. Nonetheless, they will get there in time. On the other side of the map, we see that 3-point push. So as anticipated, 3-point push coming out. Almost get a full cap. The red team, though, 1 tick away. Blue needs to be very careful about that moving forward here.
Yeah, Fayov already taking a lot of pressure here as Moves is all over him. However, he's probably going to be able to stay alive as, I mean, obviously Kyuhu is not going to be able to put out enough pressure to keep him low. And now they're going to focus the pressure on top of him. And remember, he's Celestial, so he does not have the same sustain that we're used to seeing a lot of these methods are having in the form of having, of course, Soldiers and even Sentinels. I mean, definitely going to be losing some effective health from that. He is going to be going down. Moves doesn't look like he's going to be able to make a move for that one as Fayov does put some more pressure down on him. They're probably going to be looking to take him out as well.
Well, remember, that was a 2v3 in favor of the blue team here. So moving forward to that mid node, Bear's actually done a good job pulling out the 1v2. We saw a 2v1 at the henge node, one of the Revenants rotate towards the mid node, didn't need to have 2 people there. Bear now going to be almost taken down, able to cleanse some of those Condis, should be okay. They're not going to get the full cap at the midpoint, so in the end, Never Lucky will come out on top with that mine node win.
Yeah, and you know, all they have to do is then sit that Mesmer there and neutralize that hinge point, just like they're doing. I mean, Olrun is just known for doing that. This is where he actually feels the most comfortable, no matter what class he's playing. This is just the role I think he feels most comfortable playing, and it's working out well for them. They're going to pick up yet another kill there in the form of Aerox, now look to take out Aerodynamic, and this is what I was talking about before. If Aerodynamic is left alone, he's gone. Fayov all over him with that Unrelenting Assault, going to pour it up next to him and take him out there just in the nick of time, as he is going to be finishing him off.
Kyuhu looking to make a push towards the mid node.
Sorry, Bear actually.
Moves is going to be back here in time, and Bear will probably, oh no, interrupt coming out there from Kyuhu, throws down the Chaos Storm. We'll have to see, is he able, oh, we see Bear. He did use the Staff 5 off the node, but of course that Shiro Stand's going to get him back up there, trying to cleave down as much as he can. It looks like Kyuhu should be able to pick up the red for himself and get him back into the fight regardless. Never Lucky still taking that node over at the mine point. Aerox wanted to decap, was not able to find one because Steel actually is the one sitting over there. But regardless, really good start for Never Lucky.
Yeah, I'm kind of actually confused as to why Fayov didn't come over there. He had Shiro ready to go. He could have just ported right over there and helped solidify that kill. But now, I mean, now they're sitting in a fight where they could potentially lose. Fayov not looking healthy, Bear not looking healthy. And I mean, I think that he should have just ported over, secured that kill. They could have done it with the 2 Revenants there.
3 minutes into this game, nearly 3 minutes rather, and not a single point for Zero counterplay. They need to get something going at this mid node. Are doing a good, decent job of putting some pressure down. Meanwhile, we do have a little bit of a fight going on over at the Henge node. Hypno kind of getting close to killing Olin. Remember, he is a Mesmer, so we should be able to sustain for quite some time. Taking a look back at the mid node, we do have a rotation from both of the Mesmers. The Steel Illusions now making his way back to the mid node. We do see, a couple members really close to being down. Faux is actually in the down state as well, but they should be able to get him up with no problem, and they do.
Yeah, with Steel making that rotation, they're definitely going to solidify those reses, and they need to make sure that they're able to turn this quickly as Aerox does indeed go down. Looking at Olrun, though, he's going to get extremely low, still somehow staying alive, managing to stay up, and this one does have his shield blocks, but he's hurting so badly right now. As soon as he runs out of that Bird Frenzy, he's going to have really nothing available to him. He does throw out a bunch of CC there, and he is going to be able to stay alive a little bit longer, but I think he's still going to be going down here.
I think he is as well. It's just a matter of when, as it's so close. Oh, he gets help, though, from Bear. Now he's not going to be able to put out that pressure. We do have a decap potentially from Aerox. No, we do have that portal from Steel Illusions. Really well-timed from him, and now Bear's going to be in the 1v1 against Hypno. Excellent rotation from the side of Never Lucky. Getting back to that mine node, their only node they have, continuing to build the lead, over 100 points now, and helping out their Mesmer at the Henge node. Olrun now back at the midpoint, 100% HP. That is a great rotation. Although Stalacta is down, he should be able to get up with no problem. He does.
Feyav now, though, looking not so hot as he does get his heal off, but doesn't have too much defensive capability anymore, apart from that resistance spam that he just put out. I mean, at the moment, it looks like everybody's just dodging around, and eventually people are going to run out of those defensive cooldowns. I mean, if they're just using them all in quick succession, one after the other, it looks like Aerodynamic is going to be left alone again. We have to remember what happens when Aerodynamic is left alone against this composition. Looks like Feyav's going to be putting a lot of hurt into him. However, going to be staying a little bit passive here as he needs to make sure that he has enough energy should those players from Red Team come back over to the midpoint. Going to be leaving himself in a 1v1. The fight is going to gravitate over towards the mine in the meantime, though, as Steel is holding off Q-Hu and company. It looks like Move's taking a lot of pressure, though.
I like that initiative there by Zero Counterplay to try and make the first move, try and have the upper hand at least at the start at the mine node, but Move just trained down to the mine. Got a little bit of help from Aerox, should be okay for the time being, but that one mine node building up to a 150-point lead just over 5 minutes into this game. Things are looking pretty rough for Zero Counterplay. Remember, they've only held one node. It's only 150 points. If they can still get something going, get a cap themselves, even a 2-cap or something like that, they're not out of this one yet, but they have to get something going. They got to change it up to their advantage, and Bear actually going to be taken out, and that's exactly what they needed. They needed that node for themselves. Now they just got to get something going elsewhere. Otherwise, it's still a 150-point lead for Never Lucky.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get that hinge, so they're going to be able to make sure that they're not losing any more. I mean, there's going to be no deficit growing, at least in that regard. So Bear is going to be bled out, and he's going to be on respawn. They're probably going to be sending him actually, I thought he was going to be sending home, but they're losing that fight here as they are rotating out and going over towards the midpoint instead, as Never Lucky is going to solidify that one, at least for the time being, and push it back away from that only cap that they have left. Moves did go down, but he's going to get res back up by his teammate Aerox there. Q-Hu is in the area to provide some support as well, in the form of a null field. I believe that was his there that did go down. It wasn't actually that went down. So they're going to have actually a Mesmer with full cooldowns here, just 3 seconds left on his F5, their continuum split, and once that comes up, expect a ton of pressure to come out from Q-Hu in this fight.
Really good portal. Steel Illusions is going to match it, though. They're going to make it a 2v2. Stalacta comes through, and they're not going to be able to take him out anytime soon. Still, got almost half the node decap there. Just a little bit over that node. A couple of ticks left for the decap, but they don't want anything to do with that because Moobs was actually taken down as he went through that portal and going to be eliminated. So overall, that portal move by the red team really didn't pan out for him. It was a good move, but nothing really came of it. Hypno is still in that 1v1 with Bear off of respawn. He won it last time. I wouldn't doubt he's going to win it again. But moving back towards the mid node, what do you think Zero Counterplay has to do here to try and get themselves back into this one?
Stop making misrotations. I mean, we just saw Q-Hu port over towards the mine point. Could have dropped some support for his teammate, maybe gotten him out of there, but instead just came right back through, stood there, got stunned, walked away. Didn't really accomplish anything over the course of a span of, I don't know, 30 seconds or something like that. I mean, those are the kind of mistakes that you can't have happening at this tier of play, and Aerox does go down. Q-Hu going to be going for that res. We are going to be seeing them attempt to stomp. They still get it, though, because Arrow was able to make sure he got his teammate back up. Q again with a mistake though, getting that F5 split poured him away. They could have lost that res there, and now Q is going to be looking to support his team. He has full cooldowns ready to go just in case he needs them. Ulrun now taking a little bit of pressure. Looks like Aerox is going to be the one to be forced off here, as he is going to be chased away by Feyav. Looks like Feyav going to be trying to get that kill.
We saw Bear lose the 1v1 again to it. No, he doesn't want anything to do with that. Probably the wise move, as he's just going to move towards the mid node. Attempted a decap possibly from Ulrun, who wants to move towards that henge node, but as he knows before, Hypno was the king of 1v1s over here. Did a really good job back from midpoint, though. We see Aerox in the downstate. Really good knockback coming out from Bear. Are they able to keep up the cleave? They do. The stomp actually coming out there from Feyav. It will connect for his team. Now they're going to be a member up around the map and starting to not necessarily pull away with the game, but there's 6:30 left. They're at 250. This is going to be rough for Zero Counterplay. They're going to have to get a 2-cap if they want anything towards a win in this game.
Yeah, Steel taking a little bit of pressure here. Does have Bear in the area to keep him up, though, as he is going to be getting some support from his teammate. Does still have a bunch of opportunities to use some defensive cooldowns as well, so he's going to be able to stay alive. Moves right now, taking a little bit of pressure. Probably going to be forced off in favor of Aerox taking his place. Coming back in once he gets his heal back up. Still just needs a heal here, as he is going for the gravity well. Missed it entirely, though.
Oh, they're so close to giving up the decap as well, and that's something I fear for this blue team, rather. Never Lucky. If they get the kill, they might be able to knock him off point, forcing the other member off the point to get the res. And he's in the downstate now. Get them both in the downstate. This could be a game-changing point for Zero Counterplay, who have 5:30 left in this game, are going to pick up a 2-cap without a single cap for Never Lucky. We do have Spawnier and Chieftain. We could potentially see that, but I think most of their focus should go over towards that mine point in the mid when we see respawns come out there for the blue team.
Arrow still taking a lot of heat, forced off there, and all they have to really do is stalemate this this fight here, as they did just manage to get the cap there, and the only person who's going to be assaulting that one is going to be Ulrun, and it's not going to be anytime soon that he gets that that cap away from them. Does put the portal down, getting Feyav into the fray, and now it's going to be Ulrun and Feyav actually taking down a 2v1 on Oops here.
Well, Aerox rotates back a little slow, but of course the Revenant, so he should, I mean, he's there without a problem whatsoever. And now this is a 2v2, they cannot afford to give up this cap. Oh, they technically could, as they could hold the 1 cap, but you really, not something you want to do. And now we see Q actually rotating to this node. He still has that gravity well if he needs it. Ulrun might be taken into the downstate, had distortion for a second there, doesn't have a whole lot left. Oh, the decap comes out at the mine point regardless, trying to keep himself alive. He is going to be taken into the downstate. Now, Moobs is under a lot of pressure as well. Is the res going to come out? Is the kill going to come off here for the blue team? That's a real question. There's a stomp onto Ulrun. That's going to be a huge pickup here for Zero Counterplay.
Yeah, and Moobs is going to have an opportunity to then get a full heal out of his glint there. Does drop immediately after, though. Feyav going for the stomp. Looks like he might actually get it, and it does actually land. Q now in some heat as well over on the midpoint, where he's actually going to try to stay away from Steel Illusions, who's the only threat here. Of course, that threat being not much of one.
Well, he portaled through, and he didn't send Aerox back. Aerox and him were 2v1ing. That was a very poor play, if you ask me, coming out through, because they also lost the henge node, and now they're going to lose maybe the full cap. No, they do not, as Moobs is able to get there. That is their home node, remember, so quick respawns in terms of getting back to that mine point, but no point income here for Zero Counterplay. 2 boss kills wouldn't really do the trick for this red team, and given that mine decap along with the henge decap almost at the same time, along with picking up kills here for Never Lucky, might help them hold this lead.
I'm really liking the pairing of this Condi Rev and the Power Rev together here. Bear and Feyav, just so much pressure coming out from these two guys. I mean, you take all the pressure, force all the dodge rolls out by the Berserker, and then just immediately Feyav comes in with a huge condition bomb, and there's nothing left for Q to do, and he falls there. And now they're going to be in some trouble, as Moobs now taking that same amount of pressure there, as Arrow is trying to keep him alive. Looks like Moobs is going to be opting to get as many dodges out as he possibly can, just to stall this a little bit longer here. But, you know, both of these Revenants are just all over him right now.
Q in the house as well, going in for the quick to stop there from Bear. Nice knockback coming out from Moobs in that downstate. They are going to be able to get him back up, as we still have those 1v1s going on at the mid node and at the henge node. So 2 out of the 3 Revenants on the side of Zero Counterplayer are in 1v1s with Mesmers right now on the side of Never Lucky. That really helps them in the fact that there's not a whole lot of tankiness over at the mine point with Blue Team.
Yeah, I mean, they only have 2.5 minutes left now. I mean, that's 150 seconds to make up for an 87-point deficit here, and they really need to make sure that they win this fight over on mine to really kind of get some headway here. But with Aerodynamic very low, forced into a situation where he might actually go down far away from the point, and then, I mean, of course, lose support in doing so. They're going to be struggling to achieve that task, as now we're getting nearer and nearer to that 2-minute mark, and then, of course, we'll be in the same situation again in 30 seconds if they don't make a change.
Yeah, and with that, remember, it's Spawner and Chieftain, but they can't just get them, and they can't afford to leave to just get them, because Blue Team could definitely plus that, or just not even care, because in the end it won't even matter, because they're going to have the upper hand regardless in terms of points. Now, a little bit of a portal was thrown down there, not really going to make any use of it. We do have moves taken into the downstate here, trying to get the res there from Q and Aerodynamic. Stomp from Stalacta will connect for them, and now they're going to be down a member over at the mine point, and Q is under so much pressure, able to get his mantra off, along with the shield block, gravity wall up in a second, but isn't enough. 130 remaining in this match.
Yeah, and that, in my opinion, is going to be the nail in the coffin with that kill. If moves would have been able to take that fight, they maybe would have been able to rotate around to the bosses. I mean, we're talking a big maybe at that point. I mean, at this stage, with moves dying, with them not having the opportunity to pull out of any of these fights or suffer a loss, I mean, it's really not looking good for them. Q-Who does go down. It looks like they're going to be able to solidify that as a kill as well. Aerodynamic now left alone on this mine point with both Bear and Stalacta here, and he's probably going to be falling as well. That's 2 more kills again for Never Lucky, and they're going to be taking this one probably 311 or 316 to 209.
I mean, there was a 2 cap. There was a chance in that game for Zero Counterplay to get something going. They did a good job holding on to it for as long as they did, but it wasn't long enough. And given that, the cap actually coming out there on the mine point, so your prediction was a little bit off there.
Oh, yeah,
but
it's going to be very off now.
With 30 seconds remaining in this game, we will see Never Lucky take map number 1 over Zero Counterplay, who definitely put up a good fight, but it just in the end wasn't enough because they didn't manage to hold on to their 2 cap. That's all they needed to do and failed at doing so.
Yeah, and as soon as they kind of lost their momentum, they struggled to then regain it. I mean, we saw moves just die yet again. As soon as they kind of lose their footing, it feels like they don't really know how to get themselves out of that. And that's a struggle that a lot of teams have when they're first starting out. I mean, looking back on even some of the really, really strong teams, even like Spooky. Spooky had a lot of trouble even in all of their iterations of their team. I mean, looking back, they had, you know, what is it, Cunning Stunts, and then all those other teams that they've had. I mean, a lot of these teams have had struggles with coming back with a loss, and we saw just the same with Zero Counterplay. I think they've been playing better.
100% have playing better.
I would like to see them, you know, increase this over the next couple of weeks, and of course they have this next game to then make a comeback as well. I think Never Lucky is going to really take this one, at least in my opinion. I would have expected Never Lucky actually to take that last game on Forest a lot more heavy-handedly, but
I mean, Zero Counterplay put themselves in such a huge deficit early on with that 1 mine cap going in favor of Never Lucky. They managed to crawl back into the game, only down, what, 80, 90-ish points, but didn't get anything going off of that. And moving on to the legacy of the Faux Fire, they need to be thinking about, okay, how can we better our opener? Because that is single-handedly what lost us the game.
And that's actually one thing that Olrun is usually good at, and he's actually been known to structure a lot of these openers for his teams. We saw it, you know, with him being in Radioactive, and of course being in this team as well. He's very good at, you know, noticing things like that, noticing the other team's tendencies, especially through, you know, being able to scrim against them. He can kind of notice these things and then play off of it, and they really take advantage of that in some situations. And of course, in this situation where they're playing against a team that has been struggling.
Well, let's move on to our second map as we have both teams joined up and ready to go on the Legacy of the Faux Fire. So you're picking Never Lucky here to take this one, I assume.
I am. I think they're going to be taking this. I think they're just too comfortable right now. I think they're too confident. And honestly, I think that they have the better setup in general. So I'm expecting them to take this. I expect it to be kind of like the last game where it's going to be stalemated for a long period of time, but in the end, we will see Never Lucky taking it. In my opinion, taking it probably somewhere in the ballpark of about 150, 200 points over.
I'm going to pick Never Lucky to take this, but I would definitely not be surprised if Zero Counterplay pulls something out here. I mean, basically, honestly, I might want to even change my prediction to Zero Counterplay because of the fact that I think they performed really well in the latter half of that game. Maybe they weren't able to come out with a victory, but regardless, you had mentioned they did a really good job. Major improvements from the last time we saw them play, and moving up against Never Lucky, who's made some improvements, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the stretch for Zero Counterplay is a little bit bigger.
Okay, so
and definitely
pick one.
Pick one. I'm going with Zero Counterplay here. I'm gonna go with the upset. I said
And
Never
why?
Lucky, but now
Why?
thinking about it, now why?
Why?
I think that, like I said, they definitely did a good job in the latter half of that game. And in the beginning of the game, they know the mistake they made. They lost their first fight over there at the mine point. They gave up the cap, and moving on into the Legacy of the Faux, they know that if they get that first cap for Never Lucky, it's going to be an uphill battle throughout, and I don't think they're going to let that happen.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, I know I said Never Lucky, but now thinking about it, I'm going to go for the underdog here. Zero Counterplay pulling out a victory, maybe moving on to that Battle of Kylo.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'm definitely still thinking Never Lucky. Just comp alone, I think they've got this one. Of course, Aerodynamic is going to be able to lend a lot to their team fighting capabilities, but I think just the power that Faux brings with that condition rev and with everything else, I mean, I think Never Lucky's got this one in the bag. The only thing that I would be concerned about for them personally is that third Revenant, that they kind of have to worry about the rotations that Revenant could possibly provide. That's something that I'd be worried about. But actually,
we do have that build change. It's not the great sword, though.
I don't like that.
He's running the Viper's Amulet, Root of Adventure.
Now
with illusions over chaos.
Well, illusions definitely is a good choice. Definitely, it's going to take away from a lot of the bunking aspects of the
100%.
Mesmer. I mean, that's basically what it's going to do. You're talking about losing Bountiful Disillusionment. You're talking about losing product time. You're talking about losing just straight damage reduction. So I mean, I would think that in his role as the only Mesmer on this team, I would like to see him provide some capability defensively, but with him going Vipers, I am not so sure about that, man. I am definitely saying that Never Lucky is taking this one.
When's the last time you saw mirror images on a skill bar, to be honest? But game number 2 going to be commencing here on the Legacy of the Faux, taking a look at our map for the opening splits for both of these teams, as both of them needing a victory in this matchup. Kihu going to that quarry, going to be followed by Moobs. Meanwhile, Olrun going to go back to their home node at the waterfall. Hypno, of course, feeling pretty confident about that 1v1 matchup and a 3-point push towards the quarry node for Never Lucky.
The more I think about it, why did he change his build to that? He knows there's two null fields. There's 2 null fields, a Revenant that has perma resistance, and an Elementalist running Soldier Runes. Why would you change your build to that?
I'm not entirely sure about that, but regardless, he might have his reasons. At this midpoint, though, got a bit of a skirmish going on as Moobs getting caught by double. Well, actually got caught by one of them, rather, and not a whole lot of pressure going out onto him as Bear seems to be the main target for Zero Counterplay.
Yeah, and that's literally the only target that Kihu is going to be effective against, but in the meantime, we are going to be seeing right now actually kind of nothing happening in terms of these fights, actually, but we are seeing that 1v1 between Faux and Hypno. Hypno actually has been doing very well in these fights, but
Moobs just blown to pieces at the midpoint. Aerox might fall. They don't want anything to do with that. Hypno taken down as well.
Man.
This is just going to...
Faux took that one instantly. Oh man, he it felt like Faux was going to be losing that one, and Faux just threw away the crutches and just kicked him right in the face, took him down quick.
Can I retract my previous statement about who I think is going to win? I mean, given that Kyuhu's build isn't probably going to be as effective as he might hope for, there's still no cap in the favor of Never Lucky, which is good to say the least. They're able to hold off, but Aerox is going to be taken down. Waterfall more than likely going to be going in favor of the blue team. Moob's going to follow in pursuit, and that's that trickling effect that you don't really like to see, but Moob's now in this 1v1 against Faux. Have to see if he's able to hold his own back at the quarry, though. Kyuhu going to be plussed by the Elementalist. Surprisingly enough, they want Stalacta in this 1v2, and probably going to be able to take out Kyuhu without an issue.
Yeah, Kyuhu, just with that Viper Amulet, not going to have the sustain that they really need him to have in this role here, and he's going to be forced off the point. does not have his mantra anymore, and Stellax is going to be all over him right now. He is going to be staying alive for a little bit longer here, as he is going to be dodging some of the burst coming out from, I say burst from Steel, but it's some of the pressure from some of the latent pressure from Steel. So he is going to be able to portal back over. Steel's going to see that. Great play from Steel, able to see that and make the play. So he's going to be able to sustain this one, certainly.
Back at the quarry, though, we see a lot of pressure on the moves. He is going to be cleaved out. Aerox, knowing he wasn't able to get that res with Bear and Faux both on top of him. That was another second person. Might have been able to get that res. We do have Aerodynamic and a plus try and help out Aerox and get him some heals back on this node. But that quarry node, just like last game, maybe it was a little bit later than the first game, but regardless, that node is going to give them a major lead until Zero Counterplay can get something over themselves.
I would change until to if at this point. I mean, here's the thing. Faux right now getting kind of low. They have been struggling to keep their Revenants up, at least in these fights so far. But if at any point one of these guys goes down, you have two other people who could just bring him back up, and the pressure that they're putting out, the counter pressure they're putting out rather, is still just as high. They're able to keep Faux alive. He did just go down. Looks like they are going to be able to get the res, I do believe, with Bear going in as well. So yeah, I mean, they're going to be able to get him right back up into it. He's going to be able to use his heal, get right back into the fight. He has resistance that he's going to be able to sustain some of these conditions as well. He really needs to make sure that he's getting some blocks out. There he goes. It's perfect timing on the block there. So, I mean, he's going to be able to sustain a lot of this pressure. He needs to be making sure that he's focusing a lot of their pressure actually on one person. Looks like that's going to be Aerox. So, I mean, if they're able to take Aerox down at any point in this fight, if they are able to take Aerox down, they've got this win.
Aerox actually got himself up to a respectable amount of health. Now Faux is on the other end of things, getting pretty low himself. Able to, has his heal up though, so he should be okay in that Malix form, and is going to be back to full HP. And a little bit of a push, it looked like the Mesmer versus Mesmer fight. Orun actually taking a lot of damage, might be taking out. This is going to be an interesting 1v1, because this isn't, you know, Q isn't that typical bunker. Orun might be okay in the end, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Qihu come up with a decap here.
Yeah, and on the other side of the map, they managed to get that kill on Aerox. Fight's over. Aerodynamic's going to go down soon. So, I mean, at this point, it's really just kind of clinical play from Never Lucky. They're able to really make the right plays that they need to make, and they're playing it exactly how they should. It's great job from them. This is a team that, in my opinion, coming out of week 4 wasn't that strong of a team. They were definitely showing signs of improvement, but this is an all-new team here. I think they're playing really well, and I also think at the same time Zero Counterplay is making even more mistakes than we saw last game.
And with that, I don't, like you had mentioned, I don't think Qihu's build was necessarily the best decision coming into this game.
Oh no,
but
not at all.
Regardless, I mean, given how close last game was, maybe not the score was that close, but it was a pretty close game about halfway through. Given that, I would have expected the same thing, just a different strategy perhaps from these guys.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about this this Qihu build. I mean, they are managing to get that one cap there, so, you know, for now, Never Lucky's looking extremely solid. They're just getting kill after kill after kill.
Decap though, the decap at the waterfall, that's pretty big. No one portal to the mid, or to this node. Or we see Steel Illusions actually portal here, but they're struggling at the mid node. Aerox is going to be taken out. We're probably going to see a full cap come out at the graveyard, which is the worst possible node. You don't want capped in the enemy favor, and they're not even going to attempt for it. So we will see that cap at the mid node go for Never Lucky, and they're going to build up to a 200 point.
We are going to be seeing an interesting rotation though. Qihu is definitely over time kind of losing this fight to Orun. However, Hypno is going to be able to make that rotation in, and he's going to be able to put a lot of pressure down on Orun. We have to remember that Qihu is an offensive Mesmer. I almost said offensive bunker Mesmer, but he's not really bunker. He just has a lot of defensive cooldowns, but nonetheless, he is very offensive, so he's going to be able to put a ton more pressure onto Orun. Orun's going to be able to take it in stride for the. In the meantime, Stal going to be able to help with that, of course, with the amount of healing that he's going to be able to put out, of course, with the water attunement overloading as well. Going to get it back up to 100%, and now moves across the map, actually, over on Waterfall. Looks like Faux and Bear were able to take that 2v2. That double rev is just so unrelenting there.
I mean, there's nothing that they haven't been able to get anything going for them this game. 200-0 right now, 8-10 left in this game. It's in the 2 cap actually coming out there for Never Lucky, who are just proving me wrong in that prediction. They're doing an excellent job. I mean, this is just really good play from Never Lucky. Overall, they have improved week after week, coming in after a long break. Maybe not the most improved team, but definitely showing us that they can do, take out zero counterplay like everyone else has thus far without a problem whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Looks like Hypno is going to be trying to sustain over here on the quarry, just keeping the dream alive, making sure that this doesn't get capped. I mean, this is their only hope in not getting a 3 cap at this point. But, I mean, Hypno is getting just a little bit too much pressure. Bear all over him. Stalacta is going to overload that air, which, of course, is just a ton of pressure coming out from him as well. And now you're going to be seeing Aerox join the fight, as he is kind of low as well, and he might actually fall first, as he is now at about 20% HP. We are going to be seeing Bear go into some blocks. Aerox doing the same.
On the other side of the map, Fail was taken down. Got back up, taken down once again, moves. Looked like he wanted the quickness stomp, but actually looked like he interrupted himself with using that Shiro to roll backwards. Interesting.
They had the Chaos Storm down, and it interrupted him, so he just.
I don't think he would have got that stomp regardless, but took him down for that matter. Bear is back down. So is Aerox on the other side of the map. We do see the slow stomp from Hypno, but the res is going to come out. It looked like he got it, but unfortunately that slow is going to be his demise, and he is going to be taken out in a matter of moments, as well as Bear missed that surge and miss. Really good knockback, and
that was just perfect timing.
It was. His heal is going to keep him alive for the time being, but up to a 300-point lead, I just don't see this happening for Zero Counterplay, who potentially falling to 0-5.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing Hypno going down.
I mean, we said he was going to go down a little bit ago, but he did a good job.
He does indeed go down, and Noobs, of course, is dead already. So, I mean, the problem with Zero Counterplay is
they give up the
they're just kind of dying left and right. They aren't really kind of getting a good control of the map. I mean, there's usually just... I mean, at any given point, you could probably say there's at least one person down, and honestly, it seems like they have more double downs than a KFC at this point. So I just want to say thank you to Graz for that joke, because it's really good. But
they've been staggered respawns, moving into fight, dying. I mean, one person dying, another coming in trying to hold the decap ever since like the opening minutes of this game, for that matter. And we saw 2 cap at one point for Never Lucky, who are looking to have a shutout in this second map against Zero Counterplay, which honestly, I can't say I'm too surprised with how they've been performing on this second map. It hasn't been anything, that's impressed me by any.
Yeah, and Bear trying to take Aerox down, trying to put out enough pressure to force Hypno off, but now he's going to be facing a 2v1. Looks like Stalacta's going to be able to move over here and get some support to his teammate, and they need to take Hypno out very quickly. Aerox still in a position to be taken out as well, so this is definitely in favor of the blue team in this fight. However, Bear goes down almost instantly there. We have to remember that double rev has a lot of damage that they...
First points of the game, boys. Zero Counterplay with the kill. And we'll be putting 5 points on that board. So the shutout not going to be happening here today for Never Lucky. But regardless, a 2-0 victory in that shutout in that regard coming out for them. But actually, a player on Zero Counterplay, got to give Hypno some credit. I feel like he has done an excellent job over the course of this series. I feel like he's a really good player that, unfortunate that this team not able to get a whole lot going for themselves now 5 weeks in. But still, a lot of, individually talented players, I have to think.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of the season, Aerodynamic has been, probably one of the better elementalists that we've seen. He's done very well in making sure that he makes the right plays and supports his teammates, and he's very kind of team oriented, where he kind of thinks of his team, not really thinking about how best to bunker himself, but rather to how to best help his teammates out. And that's definitely something you like to see out of a Tempest in that role. So I definitely like these players individually. It's just they haven't been able to find a way to come together as a team and actually perform as one cohesive unit. And here we are seeing actually the final play, if it will, the Lord going down. Red Lord now at about 10% HP, and that will be it. 581 to 15. So my initial statement, I would like to redact, of being 150-200 points, as Kihu did change his build, which of course led to OS Barry.
I can't. You can't blame it all on Kihu. I mean, that build change definitely didn't help him, I felt.
Yeah.
But I felt like they would have had a better chance to win if he had been running something a little bit more like he was in the last game. I mean, even that wasn't the tankiest he could have been, and still helped the team out for the most part. But
I think he's
but
trying way too hard to play a little bit more or try to put out some offensive pressure where in that role he doesn't necessarily need to. It's not really his job to be putting out that kind of pressure. I mean, he needs to focus on support, needs to focus on CCing, setting up kills is a little bit more important, getting his teammates where they need to be with those portal plays. That's kind of what the Mesmer is really good at, but he's kind of forcing himself into this role where he's trying to do that as well as put out a bunch of pressure, and of course he's taking away from his effective health in the process, and of course that's going to lead to them struggling in those team fights, especially when it's coming out of conditions, which, I mean, I talked about it in the beginning where it's like, why would you even...
And you talk about the offensive pressure he doesn't need to bring to the table. He's got 1, 2, 3 Revenants doing just that. On top of an Elementalist who, it's not a lot of pressure, but regardless, 3 Revenants who are going to do that for him. He doesn't, in a Viper's Amulet Revenant, he really doesn't need to be focusing on that. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so I'm not totally sure about some of the decisions that they made as a team, but again, they are a team. They played a lot better than we've seen. They are making a lot of
100%, yep.
improvements. This is a team that over the break, if someone would have asked me where they would end up, in a couple of months' time, I would have suspected that they would have been sent down into the Challenger League, but now they're looking like a team that could potentially, come back in Season 2 and make a name for themselves, but I think first it starts at making sure that you can build some consistency. They need to make sure that they're, studied up on the team that they're facing so that they have those opening strats down. They failed to really kind of adapt to those opening strats. They failed to see kind of what Never Lucky was doing and make some changes there.
Now let's talk about Never Lucky. A 2-0 victory for them. They're going to be moving up to 2 and 3, if I'm not mistaken. So trying to move themselves up in the rankings. Don't want to finish 7th. Still got 2 more matchups. What do you think they need to be focusing on moving into the next couple weeks? Because that was not perfect play from them. Regardless of a really good second game, it was 0 counterplay for that matter. Moving forward, though, what do you think they need to keep their eyes set on?
I think that they are now in that tier, that caliber of team that's done developing their team as, like, kind of a group of individual players, I guess I would say, where you have teams that consist of really solid players, but you don't really have the strategies. I think they need to work on the strategies a little bit. Of course, that team is getting a lot better over time, but now they're kind of moving into where a lot of the other teams are going to be with this balance update, where they need to make sure that they're going to be ready come January 26th. Again, if you haven't checked the things on the forums, you need to go ahead and do that now, where they're going to need to make sure that they make some changes and make sure that they're ready to adapt to the changes coming.
And speaking of which, we actually have a member of Never Lucky ready for us to talk to. Olrun from Never Lucky. How are you guys feeling after that victory?
Pretty good. We were pretty confident going into that match, so the start of the first game shook us up a little bit because we didn't expect very much competition there, but second game showed how we thought we should play.
So going into this matchup, I kind of thought that you guys were going to be focusing a lot on the team fights, of course. So that's where you guys, I assume, want to be at, focusing on that for especially a matchup like this where you think you're going to be really confident and going into it with a lot of, an upper hand, I guess. But how did you feel going into that game 2 where you started seeing, hey, this Mesmer isn't really running? First of all, did you even notice that the Mesmer had changed his build? And then if you did, how did you kind of change your play style in order to play against that?
I mean, so for the second game, I swapped from Sentinels to Soldiers because I realized that they were running a little squishier than normal and that I could actually kill them. But in general, we didn't really need to react much to the Condi pressure put out by Q-Hu because there wasn't really any point in those games where people were like, I'm overloaded with Condis, I need help. So it wasn't really anything we needed to respond to. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I must say for myself, you guys had a rocky start to your season, solidified that roster, have come a long ways now, sitting 2 and 3 with 2 matches remaining. Of course, basically out of contention for that top 2 spot, but moving forward to the next 2 weeks, and of course Season 2, if you're not relegated for that matter, how are you guys, what are you guys prepping for moving forward?
Well, we gotta get Feov to stop calling for Vales and Waterfields, first of all. His GPG commanding, just takes over. But really what we gotta work on is our synergy in fights. Mechanically, we're all where we need to be pretty much. It's just there are times where we aren't communicating exactly what we need effectively, or trusting each other to do what we need to do, like get reses off, or sometimes double stomps go through, but basically we just need to get our team fighting down And probably instead of doing scrims some days where we do the whole match, we'll probably just sit down, start doing team fights, reset after the one team wipes, and just repeatedly do the team fights.
So you talk about how you guys are feeling pretty confident mechanically, and we actually made mention of that, how it seems like the players individually have been developing very rapidly. They're doing a good job. Fayov, of course, doing a good job of, increasing his skill level. I mean, like I said, very rapidly over the course of the last couple of weeks since he's been on Never Lucky. Of course, you also have Steel. How do you feel about those players and your team in general moving into January 26th, where maybe some things might get shuffled around? Do you think that they're going to be able to adapt as quickly as they did? I mean, of course, Steel playing that Mesmer build. Do you think that your whole team is going to be able to adapt to those changes that could potentially come?
So Steel and Bear are both very strong multi-classers. They play a lot of classes, so I'm not worried about us adapting to new meta